Hi, welcome back to another episode in my kitchen. Let me just zoom in. So, we're going to make a nice paneer Balti. I was going to say it's simple. You might be a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of ingredients, but it is simple really, isn't it? So let's talk about the ingredients. I have 1 tablespoon of tomato puree, half a teaspoon of tandoori masala, and 2 or 3 tablespoons again of water mixed up. So we've got a tandoori masala and double concentrated tomato paste here. We have just the ends, really, just cut finely and thinly, of a red and a green pepper. Little bowlful there. There's the size of my hand, so there's not a lot. So ginger and garlic paste, a chef's spoonful. I like mine nice and gingery and garlic. Adapt accordingly, obviously. Good handful of coriander, really finely chopped, nice and fresh. 1 medium white onion, cut up into nice slivers. And I'm using 10 green chilies, pretty spicy. Have you ever been disappointed when you've gone to a restaurant and, I don't know, they think you're European, if applicable, and it's just not hot enough? So I'm used to my Baltis in Birmingham, you know, that's where they were invented in the mid-70s, and I quite often go out to restaurants, have a Balti, and, you know, I'm used to hot food, but there's just something about the dish when it comes that is a little bit embarrassingly hot. You know, you might have a little tear in your eye, so this is definitely going to do that. So, nice spicy dish. So here we have Basar Kashmiri mix, if you like. It's a curry powder, Kashmiri based, so pretty good for Pakistani curries, like a Balti is. So that's pre-mixed. It's like a curry powder, garam masala type thing. You might be able to find it. Bassar, or Kashmiri powder, if you like. So next to that we have half a teaspoon of Kashmiri chili powder, or red chili powder. Yeah, you could use the hot, that's up to you. We have a generous pinch of kasuri methi leaf, or fenugreek leaf, and next to that we have nice smoky flavour this is going to give. We have a black cardamom, no relation to green cardamom, but I just really want to season the oil with that. Half a teaspoon of garam masala, just over half a teaspoon of salt. We're going to be using the juice of half a lime, 2 pieces of tomato, just for texture and a little bit of variety in that sauce. And here we have about 220 grams of paneer, so this is 1 packet. And what I do, rather than cut it up into cubes, I sear mine pre-hand. I love the texture of seared paneer. It doesn't melt, it doesn't have the fat content like mozzarella, for example, so it stays solid. And what I do, I just sear it with a little bit of oil on a non-stick pan, such as a tava, on both sides, and then we're going to just cut it up into like 1-inch cubes. So the next time you see that, it'll all be cut nicely up into cubes, and it just gives a really nice texture. So when you cut it up, like half of it is seared and half of it isn't. I just think it makes it a lot more interesting. I always think it's a bit of a shame, unless it's your real preference, to put paneer straight into a dish and you get that almost tofu type texture. And as this is a BIR inspired curry, we've got about 400 millilitres of base gravy that's going to be heating up alongside the dish. And last but not least, we're going to be using HP sauce. Some people use soy sauce, HP sauce, a little bit of date puree, a little bit of tamarind, but I'm going to be using HP sauce. It is something that happens in restaurants, and we're just going to use a dollop of that, just get that brown, tangy, brown colour with a little bit of a tangy acidity to the dish. Okay, so let's get cooking. And by the way, if you're watching this in America, A1 sauce is the equivalent to HP sauce. HP sauce is, typically English, as you can see all the London sites, well, the Houses of Parliament, Westminster on the front, but you can use A1 sauce, steak sauce, whatever. So here we have our Balti bowl. It's quite big because this is definitely enough for 2 people. And we have about 3 tablespoons of rapeseed oil that's heating up. And what I'm going to do, because that's heated up already, I'm going to add the black cardamom, and I'm going to make sure that that sizzles and flavours the oil, and we're going to come back shortly. So that's sizzling away nicely, nice smoky taste that's going to give. Now let's add the ginger and garlic paste, and that will quickly sizzle off. You don't want to burn it. Just as soon as you hear it simmer down, you know you've got the initial bubble. As soon as you, what that noise is basically is the water content. So that's fine. That's slightly browned, very slightly. As soon as it stops sizzling ferociously, you know you've cooked it through. And we're going to do the same with the onions. We're going to lightly char those, and we'll come back on a nice high heat. So those onions are halfway done. It's been about a minute and a half. Time to add the kasuri methi. You really want to get that into the oil. It'll have a great impact on the rest of the dish. Give it a good stir, and we'll finish those onions. So those onions are starting to brown now, just the way I want it. So what I've done is compacted all those dry spices, the powders, into one bowl. So you have the salt, the Kashmiri chili powder, the basar mix, and the tandoori masala all going in now. And work quite quickly, because it's on a high heat. You don't want to burn your spices. You just want to make sure you really season the oil. Give it a good stir at this point. If you think you're going to burn it, just turn it down a little bit. The last thing you want to do is burn it. So just sizzle that. Oh, well, the smell is amazing. This is Balti house. So 30 seconds with that, we'll come back. And those onions have really, they're really golden now. All those ingredients have infused really well together. That's just perfect. Now let's add the tomato paste. Oh, and again, we want to sizzle some of the moisture off, and we want to cook it in. Yeah, so we'll come back in a minute or so. Now let's add the peppers. Look at that dark, rich colour, packed full of flavour. And we just want to soften those peppers. Just want to maintain the temperature again, bring the temperature back up. And next we can add all those chilies. We'll add the tomatoes as well. I'm going to give that a stir, bring that temperature back up. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the coriander, about 40% of it now, so it cooks really intensely. Because this is oil based at the moment, not water based. When we add the base gravy, it's going to be a game changer. We're going to get a water based. So this will just give a rich coriander taste. Adapt accordingly, not to everybody's palate. And now we're going to add some of that base gravy. And the great thing about searing the paneer first, whoops, that's the thing about Balti bowls, always have a cloth handy, or some pliers or whatever, some tongs, because it does get a little bit fiddly, especially when the bottom of the bowl is pretty concave. This is a bit fiddly. I'll just go off camera a minute to save any embarrassment, but I'll give that a good stir. We'll come back in a moment. And I was just about to say, that's the beauty about searing your paneer first, so you get two different textures, rather than cook it in the dish and just complicate things. So can you see how thick and rich that is? The oil's splitting, it's bubbling. That's the really good thing about Baltis. It's high intensity heat right throughout, very similar to Chinese wok style cooking. And that paneer isn't going to absorb too much flavour, so you can add it later, you don't need to add it first. Just going to make that come to the boil again. We'll come back in a moment. So bubbling away nicely. Next we're going to add, ooh, is this brown sauce open? No, it's not. We're just going to add 2 teaspoons of brown sauce or HP sauce, steak sauce, A1 sauce, wherever you are in the world. And we're just going to give that stir wheel come back. So nice and bubbling hot again. Remainder of the base gravy. So about 400 millilitres in total. So easily enough for 2 or 3 people. And I know some people say BIR, you have to cook it for 1 person max to, you know, to maintain the flavour. But when you're doing a Balti, it's just, the pan is so ferociously hot that you do get that charred flavour, the caramelisation. Just going to give that stir wheel come back. So bubbling away, the beginning of the end now. So more coriander, just for the colour really, because we already have that coriander taste and I've left that for garnish. And now we're going to add half our lime juice to give it an extra zingy taste. Nice half a lime there with the HP, it'll really add something exotic to it. So I'm just going to give that a good stir, looking great. So I'm going to let that simmer down now. The oil's splitting, we're starting to get some caramelisation on the edge, really essential for BIR to get that intense flavour. All those layers of flavours, all those ingredients. And I'm just going to let that boil away now for another 1 or 2 minutes. I don't want the video to go on too long, and we're going to serve that shortly. No stirring at this point. All the oils come to the surface, which basically means all your water is evaporated, everything's cooked through. Let's serve. So there you are. The beauty of a Balti again is that you serve it in the pot you cook it in. So let's add the remaining bit of lime, the other half of the lime, and a sprinkling of coriander, and there you have it. A really rich, exotic and satisfying dish, even though I do say myself. Yeah, thank you very much for the local restaurants in Birmingham for the inspiration. I hope you've enjoyed the video. It went on a little bit long, but that's the way I like it. Hope you do. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like, share and subscribe.